So, all right, we are back now, and the subject so far has been about consumption. Basically, consumption of food. Now, before I get started, I wanted to say I'm doing it in this format because, let's face it, it's the holidays, and I'm not at home, okay? So, I'm doing this with what I got to work with. So, please. But I think you're going to like what I got to say. Anyhow, so we're talking about food. We're basically talking about overconsumption. When you're overdoing it, and let me tell you, you overdo your consumption, you are going to be bloated. We're talking constriction, we're talking compression. The digestive process is going to do what it's going to do, and is trying to do what it does in a lot less space than it's used to. So that right there is going to be a brainer for your body, okay? So you got to think about that. Now, as with anything, you've probably heard that when you do your corset training, you're going to be eating less. That is true. The thing is that the human body needs to consume every 4 hours. Now, that's before a corset. Now, once you've got your corset on and you are waist training or just tight lacing, you will be eating like the proverbial bird. Literally, probably every 2 hours. Why? Well, let me show you. Before you start corset training, you're probably eating meals in something about this big. Yeah, piled high. Eat everything in there. As you got to go onto your journey, you started eating in smaller portions. For me, I have even gotten to the point where I have, hi, may I? This is my portion. And for extreme waist trainers, and on days when I'm really trying to eat like the bird, just eat a little bit to keep going, my portion might even be this. And this is not a croissant. This is the meal, okay? The same thing with bowls. When you're doing soup or you're doing your oriental foods or foods that usually you're eating in a bowl, you probably start it off like, ooh, nice. Well, once you get into your waist training, it's probably going to be a bowl like this. And trust me, once you finish what's in this bowl, you are full. Yes. Now, let's say that you do overconsume. The only thing I can say is walk it off. The whole purpose of this series is that you don't come out of your corset. At best, you may loosen your laces, but it's kind of, if this is the journey you're picking, if this is the art form you want to try for, the whole purpose is not to take it off. So if you overconsume, you're just going to have to bite that bullet and try to walk it off. Keep moving. Don't sit. If the bloating is there, don't sit. Don't be embarrassed if there is a little burp. Definitely don't be embarrassed if it has to come out the other end. It's got to come out, okay? It's just got to come out. And now, let's talk about some of the foods that can cause bloating. Like anything else, look at your dietary needs, whether they're regular dietary needs, whether or not you're medicinal, some things that you need to do. So think about that. This list is not all consuming. It's not me saying you can't eat it. I'm just saying whatever you decide to eat. Knowledge is power. Knowledge keeps you from feeling pain. Okay? So at the top of the bloat list is beans. Oh yeah. So think about all the foods that you eat that contain beans. They definitely cause gas because they don't break down as easy. Corn is another one. It does not break down easy. All right. The next on that list is going to be possibly fiber foods, which is pasta. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And pasta, you have to do it in moderation. It's not that you can't eat it. It's just you have to do it in moderation. It is going to take time to digest. And the longer it stays in your digestive tract, it is decomposing and fermenting. Now, it doesn't need to be the bubbly. It just needs to be the fact that your digestive process is going to kind of push them over to the side to get the easy stuff so that your body will get its nutrition faster. It's not going to stop what it's doing. It's just putting that little bit on hold. And while it's sitting over there, of course, next are going to be your sugars. Fruit is a big sugar, all right? You want to make sure that fruit is good. There's no doubt about it. I can go through some grapes, but it contains a lot of sugar. And I will say, I go on a grape binge. Yes, there's a lot of bloating going on. There's a lot of burping. There's a lot of farting, okay? So I kind of make sure that I'm not in the public eye when I decide to go on a grape binge. So those are the things like their sugars, and that's including refined sugars, not just the sugars of eating. Not just the sugars that are in fruits, but also refined sugar as well. So even your dietary sugars, think about it. Sodium, a lot of foods have sodium, all right? Sodium basically keeps water in your system. It keeps your bloating in place. So think about moderating how much sodium, salt you intake. It's good because it does help you to maintain and stay hydrated. But again, it's called moderation. All right, let's see what's next on this list. I found out that onions are another one. Cooked onions are better than raw onions. Garlic. Cooked garlic is better than raw garlic. And of course, if you can get it powdered or processed, supposedly that's even better. Right? Now, let's talk about your comfort foods like pizza, ice cream, your dairy products. If you're lactose sensitive, this is a no-brainer. You shouldn't be eating dairy products. If you decide that you want to take that pill that allows you to enjoy dairy products, there's a price to pay for that, especially if you are restricted. There's going to be a price to pay. So think about that before you decide to consume that ice cream and take that pill that is going to bypass what is supposed to be stopping you from being uncomfortable because you're lactose sensitive. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that this is what I've heard. This is what a part of my research is. And that's really it. One of the other things about eating, and this is just across the board, if you can drink fluids while eating, you will eat less food. But it goes back to that liquid libation. I suggested being just plain everyday water, not even flavored water. Drink water while you're eating. It will cause you to eat less. It will help the digestive process because those foods that are harder to digest, being put on the side, they have a tendency to start soaking out the available fluids. And therefore, they're going to sit a little longer. All right. So you try to keep fluids going through to help your digestive process while you're in restriction mode. And really, after that, that's it. Remember that if you do overconsume, walk it off. Don't just sit in it. It's going to be uncomfortable if you've overconsumed. I've done it many, many times. And I know going in, I'm going to pay for this, but oh gosh darn it. Tasted so good. So when you decide to do that, please give yourself an hour before you begin to get back into your activity if you are here and this is giving you discomfort. Like anything else, if it gives you pain, if you have overconsumed to the point where you are absolutely in abject pain, take off your corset. At best, loosen your laces. Because this is about your journey. If you do something where you're really uncomfortable, it's going to make you stop or back off of your training. And let's face it, that's not what you want to do. You have a goal. And I am here to make sure that you reach that goal. So let's talk about food. When you eat, masticate. Masticate Let the mouth do most of the work before it goes to the stomach. Try to make it as liquefied as possible. No chunks. All right? No big swallowing stuff. You really have to think about what's going on until you get into your routine, until you get into your foods that you like, the foods that you know work for you. So, that's it for right now when it comes to consumption of food. Please remember that. And I am your Corset Disciplinarian saying, keep those laces tight.